1936. The world was on the brink of war, but in a small zoo in Hobart, Tasmania, another kind of ending was taking place. The last Thylacine, the last Tasmanian tiger, a creature that had roamed Australia for millions of years. His name was Benjamin, and on September 7th, he died alone in a concrete cage, locked out in the cold. 90 years too late, we realized what we had lost. But perhaps it's not over yet. For millions of years, the thylacine was Australia's apex marsupial predator, Thylacinus cynocephalus, the dog-headed pouched one, but tiger suited them better. Those distinctive chocolate-brown stripes running down the lower back and tail. 15 to 20 bands, unique to each individual, like fingerprints. They were extraordinary creatures, part dog, part wolf, part tiger, yet related to none of them. Convergent evolution at its finest, a marsupial that had evolved to fill the same niche as wolves in the Northern Hemisphere. Their most remarkable feature? That incredible jaw, able to open to 120 degrees. Wider than any other mammal, a hunting adaptation that let them deliver devastating bites. They were not just hunters, they were devoted parents. Females carried up to 4 joeys in their rear-facing pouches. The young would stay with their mother for up to a year, learning to hunt, to survive. Social animals, living in pairs or small family groups, communicating through a range of vocalizations, yaps, coughs, and that distinctive, high-pitched howl that echoed through Tasmanian forests. By night they hunted, wallabies, possums, birds. By day, they rested in hollow logs or rocky dens. They were perfectly adapted to their environment. They had thrived for millennia, until humans arrived. European settlers arrived in Tasmania in 1803. Within decades, everything changed. Forests were cleared for farmland, sheep stations spread across the island, and the thylacines, which occasionally preyed on livestock, were labeled as threats. In 1888, the Tasmanian government introduced a bounty program. £1 for every dead thylacine. For adults, 10 shillings for juveniles. The hunting was systematic, ruthless, efficient. Thousands were killed, trapped, shot, poisoned. By the early 1900s, thylacines were becoming rare. Sightings grew infrequent. Conservationists began to voice concern. But it was too late to stop the decline. Disease played a role too. A distemper-like illness swept through the remaining population. Already stressed by hunting and habitat loss, they had no resistance. By 1920, thylacines were functionally extinct in the wild. Perhaps a dozen remained, scattered, isolated, unable to sustain a population. The last confirmed wild thylacine was shot by a farmer named Wilf Batty in 1930. He later expressed regret, said he wished he'd let it go. But wishes don't bring back the dead. The species retreated to a single point. One individual, in one cage, in one zoo. Benjamin, the last of his kind. We don't know much about Benjamin's early life. We don't even know if Benjamin was male or female. The name stuck, but it might be wrong. What we do know is that Benjamin was captured from the wild and brought to Hobart Zoo, the last thylacine in captivity. By 1933, the last thylacine anywhere, and we have footage. Precious, grainy, black and white film. 60 seconds that show us what we lost. You can see Benjamin pacing in that concrete enclosure, back and forth, confined to a space barely larger than a living room. No shelter from the elements, no enrichment, just bars and concrete. You can see that incredible jaw gape, the yawn that displays the full 120-degree opening, a reminder of what this animal was built to do. You can see Benjamin looking directly at the camera, those eyes meeting ours across time, as if asking, "Do you see me? Do you understand what you're about to lose?" The conditions were terrible. In winter, the nights were cold. On September 6, 1936, Benjamin was accidentally locked out of the sleeping quarters. Overnight temperatures dropped. Benjamin, exposed to the elements with no shelter, succumbed to exposure. On September 7, 1936, keepers found Benjamin dead. The Tasmanian tiger was extinct, just 59 days after the species had finally been granted protected status. 59 days too late. But the story didn't end in 1936. Museums around the world hold thylacine specimens, preserved skins, skeletons, some held in alcohol since the 19th century, and crucially, some containing intact DNA. In the 1990s, scientists began extracting genetic material from museum specimens. By 2002, the complete mitochondrial genome was sequenced. By 2018, much of the nuclear genome was mapped. And then, in 2022, everything changed. Colossal Biosciences, the American company already working on woolly mammoth de-extinction, announced a new project. They were going to bring back the thylacine. The plan is ambitious but feasible. Using CRISPR gene editing technology, scientists will take cells from the Tasmanian devil, the thylacine's closest living relative, and edit the genome, inserting thylacine genes, rewriting devil DNA to recreate the lost species. The process is complex. It requires building a complete thylacine genome from fragments, identifying which genes control stripes, jaw structure, size, behavior, then precisely editing devil cells to match. Once the edited cells are viable, the next step is creating an embryo. If successful, that embryo would be implanted in a devil surrogate mother, or potentially grown in an artificial womb. The timeline? Cautiously optimistic. Scientists estimate that the first thylacine birth could occur within 5 to 10 years. Between 2028 and 2033, Andrew Pask, leading the research at the University of Melbourne, believes it's possible, not just scientifically, but ethically necessary. This is a species we destroyed, a wrong we have the power to correct. But should we? The Tasmanian tiger has been extinct for 9 years, but its genome still exists, frozen in museum specimens, encoded in scientific databases, waiting. If the project succeeds, if that first thylacine is born, it won't be exactly like Benjamin. It will be a hybrid, part thylacine, part Tasmanian devil. But it will carry the essential traits, the stripes, the jaw, the genetic blueprint of a lost species. And Tasmania is ready. Large sections of wilderness have been protected. Apex predators are missing from the ecosystem. There is room, there is need. Imagine it. A century after extinction, thylacines walking again through Tasmanian forests. That distinctive howl returning to the night. An ecological balance restored. This is more than de-extinction. This is about correcting a mistake, about giving a species a second chance that we denied them the first time. The technology exists. The will is there. The funding is committed. The question is no longer if, but when. When will the first thylacine open its eyes in a laboratory? When will it take its first steps into a forest? When will that howl echo through Tasmania again? 90 years ago, we lost the Tasmanian tiger through ignorance, greed, and indifference. Perhaps 90 years from now, our descendants will look back at this moment as the turning point. The moment when extinction stopped being forever. The moment when we finally learned to give back what we took. Benjamin died alone, but the Tasmanian tiger story isn't over. It's just beginning again.